I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand and join us for the flag salute? Salute, pledge. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks for joining us. Jamie, unfortunately, is ill tonight and can't join us. Hope you get better, Jamie. So I'd like to report out on our closed session. Where am I here? Okay, item 2A, conference of legal counsel pursuant to student settlement agreement pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 and Education Code 35146. The board voted 4-0 with one absentee to approve the settlement agreement as set forth. And then item B, conference of legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1. Information was exchanged, no action was taken. So we'll move on to item 3, public comment for items not on this agenda. I'm sorry, Ms. Rigby just corrected me. For item B, we actually we exchanged information, and we also approved the settlement for 3 cases, sex abuse cases: Ruano versus CUSD, Marquez, and John Doe. And then we'll have some more information on that later. Okay, so now public comment on non-agendas.
Is it on now? Thank you. My name is Jay Hotchner. Although I'm a Carpinteria resident and property owner, a CMS teacher, a husband of a CMS teacher, parent of a current and former CUSD student, I join you this evening in a unique capacity. I serve as the president of the district's employee union. This evening, I'll provide public comments on behalf of district employees who recently re-elected myself and members of our union leadership team to share their experiences, questions, and concerns on matters of district business. As we prepare for another school year, we believe it's important to reconfirm our willingness to move beyond the challenging relational history we've experienced at the hands of district officials who now, on multiple occasions, have been formally cited for unlawful behavior, retaliation, discrimination against elected employee leadership. Although we recognize that the past informs the present, we also recognize that little progress can be made if we don't continue to pursue a more collaborative working relationship with district officials. So, although we do not forget, we do forgive, and we remain ready when you are. It's time to reopen the line of communication between the superintendent, Ms. Rigby, and elected employee leadership. Although Ms. Rigby has refused to meet with us directly for 7 years, it is not too late to direct her to adjust her posture for the betterment of district students and families. Without being Pollyannish or relying on trust that doesn't exist, we are certain that everyone will benefit if we can pursue good faith agreements, which are sustained by clear terms and well-established oversight opportunities. As the saying goes, good fences make good neighbors. Our recent contingency agreement serves as an example. Like the contingencies we developed, promoted, and then applied to resolve our recent impasse agreement, union leadership will continue to seek resolutions to challenges and disputes that place district administrators, board officials, and employees on the same side of the table. Whatever issues arise, we will continue to point out the challenges, of course, but we will also continue to look for ways to work together, rowing in the same direction and sharing both the burdens and the benefits that come. High-quality governance demands the CUSD's current district officials and senior administrators take advantage of the opportunities and benefits of an employee union. The healthy operations of a public school district rely on maximizing those opportunities versus ignoring, dismissing, begrudging, or undermining them. To better serve district students and families, let us sit down and discuss how to improve SPED services in the district, how to raise test scores, and best hold employees, administrators, and families accountable to student success. Let's discuss how the unforeseen impacts of the DLI program are warping the entire system, how to grow the talent in our midst, stem the transiency, and maintain an increasingly loyal labor force, how to promote sound and well-informed decision-making, how properly updated, clear, and easily accessible collective bargaining agreements bring clarity to daily operations in the district, and how the district and provisions contained in the contract can be used to
Thank you.
depersonalize conflict.
Thank you.
Leadership is a practice, not a
Thank you, Mr.
position.
Hausner.
Thank you.
So I apologize for not reporting out totally on item 2B, so I don't know what I was thinking, but here's the statement. In closed session this afternoon, the board ratified settlement agreements of 3 separate lawsuits filed on behalf of alleged victims of childhood sexual abuse in the 1970s. The settlements totaling $4 million are contingent upon the district obtaining approval from the state to fund the settlements from the proceeds of the sale of the surplus Baylor property. Okay, do we have any more public comment not on the agenda?
Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident. Once again, my comments, they're always based on evidence. They're always based on what you have said in the past and what you are saying now. Superintendent Rigby and the school board are responsible for misusing public money. That's the board misusing $3.5 million wasted on attorney's fees, trying to get rid of Union President Jay Hochner. You failed. You lost 4 times, and you dropped the appeal. You knew it. You had no case. Are you going to say I'm sorry to the Hochner family for all the damage done to them and to him? You should. Are you going to apologize to the community for misusing their hard-earned money thrown away? For years, the community has been telling you, stop. You're listening the same case over and over again. The odds were against you. You never listened. Told you several times that you had bad lawyers and had no evidence. Mr. Schaefer, this is what you have to tell the community. Please tell them this. Exactly the words of the Santa Barbara Superior Court, a female judge. This is what she said. The district's lawyers took the wrong legal approach. They're not competent. Continue, same judge. Even if the district had presented more than 43 witnesses, the result would have been the same, because they were not credible. Again, not my words, end of quote, her quote. And you knew it, but you didn't care. That's being irresponsible. Please acknowledge that.
Thank you. Okay. Move on to the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 8th?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, can I, any public discussion on the approval of the minutes? No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the agenda and consent agenda.
Well, you need to do the public comments for the minutes.
I did, I just
You
asked,
just did.
yeah. So, any public comment on approval of the agenda and consent agenda?
Alrighty, so this evening's consent agenda contains the approval of the regular payroll for both May and June. And unsurprisingly, CUSD's officials continue the practice of hiding administrative cost figures by including them under the cost of classified support staff. I should have said June and July, by the way. My apologies. So unsurprisingly, CUSD's officials continue the practice of hiding administrative cost figures by including them under the cost of classified support staff our union represents, even after countless requests to do different and be more transparent. We ask our district officials to respond either immediately or if time can be reclaimed, immediately if time can be reclaimed, or immediately after this comment if you prefer. Question 1, why do you think CUSD's administrators don't want you to see the administrative salary cost adjacent to the cost of those who work directly with district students and families? Number 2, you don't seem interested in analyzing the salary costs of administrators adjacent to the cost of those who work directly with district students and families. Why is that? Number 3, why hasn't a single board official demanded that the salary cost of administrators be transparently shared in the consent agenda adjacent to the cost of those who work directly with district students and families? Number 4, board members, are you afraid that by transparently sharing the salary costs of administrators adjacent to the cost of those who work directly with district students and families, you may expose the gross compensation inequities that exist? Those of us who spend considerable time analyzing the CUSD budget priorities are not only painfully aware of the gross salary disparities that exist, but of the continued increase in administrative costs and positions, while CUSD investments in support staff decrease along with the district's overall student population. In the middle of the summer, you provided all district administrators their third salary increase in 26 months. The total of those increases is more than double what teachers and support staff received in the same period. Mr. Schaefer, Ms. Diamond, and Ms. Rigby often try to justify the low wages CUSD provides teachers and support staff by citing that the district health care plan is fully funded for those who work full-time. But to be clear, CUSD administrators receive the district's fully funded health care plan also, and it appears there is no regulator on the consistent and robust salary increases that you provide our district administrators. Why is that? At board meetings in both June and July, Superintendent Rigby justified painful cuts to successful student programs like GATE and Carpinteria Family School. So she did so by citing continued reductions in student enrollment, employee costs, and allegedly low reserve balances. She failed to mention her 7 years of exorbitant legal costs under her tenure, and she failed to mention the rapidly increasing administrative costs and the number of administrative employees in the district now. Thank you.
Okay, should we pull
Yeah.
pull that? Okay, I'd like to, one change to the agenda and consent agenda. Julie Coda just Jennifer Coda just texted that she won't be able to make it tonight to give the Measure U annual report by the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. So we're gonna pull that and do it at a future meeting. So with that in mind, can I get a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda?
I move to approve the agenda and the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Sally?
Aye.
I'm aye. Okay. We will move on to public interest reports and presentations. Do we have any public comment on item E, public interest reports and presentations?
Alrighty, so the superintendent reports over the summer, CUSD worked diligently to enhance our school's safety and student well-being. Therefore, Ms. Rigby announced the following updates have been made. Quote, federal officer procedures, all visitors must continue to check in at the school office before entering campus. Any federal agents will be directed to the CUSD district office to meet with the superintendent. Agents will not be allowed on school campuses without a valid warrant or court order signed by a judge. The policy assumes that all visitors will even stop at the school office before entering campus. It assumes that completely open campuses like Carpinteria High School without any perimeter fencing will restrain those determined to gain access to the CUHS campus. It assumes that federal agents, if that is what they are, will put their mission on hold because they have yet to clear that mission with Superintendent Rigby. It assumes that those participating in these immigration raids feel an obligation to demonstrate that they have a warrant. The superintendent is correct to suggest that current immigration raids have a nexus to students' and employees' safety. The safety issues are many, not just for those in our immigrant community, but for everyone in proximity of the raids, where unmarked moving trucks arrive and give birth to individuals often dressed in civilian attire, sometimes wearing military-style uniforms, sometimes not, but most certainly carrying firearms and wearing masks. The district's enhanced policies contained in the superintendent's report provide slim insight into how CUSD intends to respond to immigration raids that occur as they are legally and constitutionally required to occur, not as they actually have been playing out. The district's response to this particular safety issue appears more designed to CYAA, which would be cover your administrative arses, right, than one designed to protect students and employees themselves. We have heard CUSD planned brief trainings at the site level. Will the trainings include how an employee or student should confirm whether the individual covered with body armor, masks, and carrying a gun is actually a law enforcement officer versus, say, another school shooter? Or whether it is appropriate for students or employees to immediately call a lockdown and 911 until they've absolutely, positively figured out that those with firearms adjacent to our school campuses are legitimate agents or not? Can the district assure employees that a senior administrator will be on campuses at all hours, on each campus at all hours services are being provided, to include the after-school program hours? That is not the case at the middle school, and it's not the case at other schools in our district. Rather than recite legally crafted policy statements, how exactly is CUSD empowering employees to serve as the first line of protection for students and children in our care, without being accused and or arrested for obstructing an immigration raid? This is not a political statement. It's a statement requesting CUSD to give this issue and the safety concerns associated with it
Mr. Hauser.
much more consideration. Thank you.
Okay, any more public comment on item E? Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So tonight, I'd like to begin with appreciation. I'd like to recognize the CUSD district office employees, maintenance, grounds, school custodians, food services, warehouse, transportation, site office coordinators, and school administrators for working this summer in preparation for a new school year. We are ready for teachers to return on August 18th, and students will be returning on August 21st. The next item is our response to immigration enforcement. Under the U.S. Constitution, all students have a right to receive an education without discrimination based on immigration status. In Plyler versus Doe, the U.S. Supreme Court recognized that undocumented immigrants are guaranteed due process and equal protection rights under the Constitution, and that children cannot be denied equal access to a public education on the basis of their immigration status. Schools must provide free public education to all students regardless of their immigration status and regardless of their citizenship status of their parents or guardians. In 2017, CUSD Board passed Resolution Number 17-800 in support of in support of students in the district, which included protections from immigration authorities on campus and information confidentiality as provided by law. In 2019, Board Policy and Regulation 5145.13, Response to Immigration Enforcement, was adopted to guide school staff in providing safe learning environments for all students and responding to immigration enforcement. Over the summer, we worked diligently to enhance our schools and prepare for a successful start of the year. As part of our ongoing commitment to safety and student well-being, the following updates have been made. Regarding federal officer procedures, all visitors must continue to check in at the school office before entering campus. Any federal agents will be directed to the CUSD district office to meet with the superintendent. Agents will not be allowed on school campuses without a valid warrant or court order signed by a judge. Student and staff privacy. Personal or identifying information about students or employees will not be released without an effective warrant or court order signed by a judge. The next item is student well-being. School site counselors and family service agency school-based mental health therapists continue to be available to all students and their families. We also have community resources. We partner with the Carpinteria Children's Project to offer support services to immigrant families. Their website is carpchildren.org and their phone number 805-566-1600. And then timely communication. Should an incident occur on or near a school campus, we will share timely updates with families via Parent Square. All staff will receive training on these updated safety protocols at the start of the school year to ensure full implementation and awareness. My next item is congratulations to our high school. Carpinteria High School was awarded the Career Choices Silver Medal from Academic Innovations, publisher of Career Choices. This medal is awarded to schools that demonstrate strong outcomes in post-secondary planning, career readiness, and equitable access for all students. CHS students develop a 10-year plan using the Career Choices curriculum, and school counselors use these plans to guide personalized discussions about course selection, interests, and future college career opportunities. Students also earn dual enrollment credit through Santa Barbara City College's Professional Development 138D course. The next item is related to our state budget of 2025-2026. In late June, Governor Newsom signed the main state Budget Bill Junior, and most of the budget trailer bills, which contain the implementing language of the 25-26 state budget package. The state budget provides robust funding for education despite a projected deficit, largely protecting schools and colleges from deep cuts. General fund spending was trimmed to close the gap, but K-12 schools, community colleges, and public universities remain priorities. Overall, Proposition 98 funding is about $104.6 billion, roughly $5 billion less than 24-25, reflecting the weaker state revenues. However, the budget taps reserves and accounting deferrals to maintain core programs, fund key initiatives, and avoid major service reductions in education. LCFF districts will receive 2.3% cost of living adjustment, COLA, for their district budgets, and community-funded districts like CUSD will receive the COLA adjustment for categorical programs and special education. Included in this year's state education funding are some notable investments that directly impact our district. One of these investments is an increase in the grant funding levels for our after-school program, Expanded Learning Opportunity, which we call ELOP. Additionally, the budget includes one-time allocations entitled Student Support and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. That'll be approximately $567,000. And the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which is approximately $156,000. This budget also extends the spending deadline of the Kitchen, Infrastructure, and Training Funds from June 30th, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. So this will allow our district an additional year for needed kitchen appliance repairs. The next item is federal funds. So State Superintendent Tony Thurmond and the CDE announced on August 1st that the CDE has received confirmation that it will receive the entire nearly $1 billion in previously impounded federal education funds for the 25-26 school year. This comes after weeks of delays caused by Trump's administration's decision to withhold critical funding allocations to states across the nation. CUSD typically receives approximately $126,000 in federal funds for categorical programs. And my last item is Measure U. During the summer months, the old portables at Catalino were removed to make way for a brand new play yard. And at Aliso, demolition of the TKK building was completed in preparation for the construction of beautiful new classrooms. And last week, we attended the Carpinteria Architectural Review Board meeting, which we were granted preliminary approval for our plans. So our next step is to go to the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going past the Measure U annual report. Is that right? Yes.
Yes.
And then we're going to move on to item F, board policies. The new board policy BP 0441, artificial intelligence. And I'll read that. New board policy BP 0441. The board is asked to approve the new policy. The board recognizes that transformative potential of artificial intelligence to increase student access to information, support teacher effectiveness, and facilitate the administration of student assessments, as well as the potential for AI to undermine student achievement, health, and well-being. Therefore, the board is committed to supporting the use of AI by students and staff in accordance with the principles stated in BP 0441. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say that's something that we, do need to pay attention to. And I think having a policy that is as inclusive as we can make it at this time is important.
Yes, and we discussed the policy at our leadership team meeting today, and the administrators feel supported by it, and then they will follow through with conversations and discussions with their site staff, especially at the secondary level at high school, and how the different AI tools will be used in the classrooms.
Great. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Public comment.
Okay, so the district's AI policy is interesting and lofty and void of clear examples for the 9 different policy statements included. Union leadership requested district officials here and now, as you are permitted by the Brown Act, clarify their understanding of these 9 lofty policy points by providing the community examples of what these statements would look like in practice. That being in the teaching and learning environment on our school campuses where the rubber meets the road. Can you please provide some routine scenarios that you all are aware of that these 9 policy statements would actually address? If so, we will cede the remainder of our public comment minutes to allow the community to hear your response. We believe it would be valuable for the community to better understand how policies such as these actually apply to the teaching and learning environment. If you are capable of providing some context for the broad statements contained in the AI policy, please do so now. Again, will you please clarify what are some of the routine scenarios that these 9 policy statements would address or help us resolve? Are you willing to do that at this time? While you are permitted?
I'm not. Go ahead, continue on.
Okay, you all were just about to approve this unanimously, but it seems like none of you can speak to it in any depth whatsoever. That seems concerning. With all respect, you, the members of our school board, are about to approve yet another district policy, yet you've demonstrated no clear understanding of the very policy and associated issues the policy is conceivably designed to resolve. You're about to do it again, as you have with many. I'm sorry, and now you're cutting me off, and I gave you your opportunity before. Now I'm going to continue on.
Okay, so Mr.
And I'll
Oshner,
finish
this is
before 3
our
minutes.
meeting, not your
Okay,
meeting.
Thank you. So, please raise your hand if you think the community shouldn't be concerned about such a scenario, where you all are going to approve yet another district policy with no demonstration of being aware of what actually that policy is designed to address.
So these policies are set forth by the CSBA, who are paid by the districts across the state to come up with policies. We don't write all of our policies.
Of course not.
Yeah, we're not experts on every topic that every one of our policies, the information contained therein. And for you to expect us to sit here on the spot, give you specific examples for 9 things that have to deal with AI is completely ridiculous.
Okay, we're not looking for expertise. We're looking for some level of awareness. You're about to approve this policy without demonstrating
reading of
any,
this policy.
again, okay, well then the second reading, then we can look forward to hearing more from you at the next reading, correct?
Thank you, Mr. Oshner.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion on the first reading of our board policy 0441? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to item G, educational services. Any public comment on item G?
Okay, so union leadership is pleased that some grade levels will have access to state-adopted curriculum and textbooks in the content areas required by the Williams Settlement. That said, elected employee leadership is compelled to note that the issue of textbooks for students is far from resolved for the 25-26 school year. Last spring, several teacher leaders requested the purchase of student textbooks for core content courses at different schools. CMS comes to mind, specifically science and history classes at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade levels. After several years of Superintendent Rigby dictating that CUSD would be paperless by 2022, we have not only fallen short of that absurdly futuristic vision, but the system has actually reversed course, moving back to the more traditional methods of teaching and learning: books, pens, pencils, and indeed paper. Throughout the spring, after student laptops and iPads that had once been provided by the district were removed, teacher leaders at CMS advocated for the purchase of student textbooks, just like this issue. They were told by Principal Pursoon that student textbooks were no longer needed because students were no longer required to do homework. When teacher leaders disagreed and pressed for student access to textbooks by the start of this current school year,
Mr. Oshner, does
they
this have
were
anything to
told
do with the
textbooks were
purchase of
available
curriculum
online.
for the 4th and 5th grade?
Absolutely. This has to do with curriculum. It has to do with
For
the
4th and
textbooks.
5th grade?
Yes, it does, actually. Yes, it does.
Because you're talking
I'll
about
get
the
there,
middle
I
school
assure
right
you.
now.
I'll get there, I assure you. And I would like those seconds back because it's a tight statement already. So I can wait for you to recalculate. Ms. Thomas?
You're burning up your time here.
You're burning up my time, Mr. Schaefer. So as a result, students in several grade levels and content areas at CMS are beginning the 25-26 school year without equal access to current books. They're not the only ones in the district, though. Not only does this scenario undermine the teaching and learning process, it is in direct contrast to the LCAP goals published in CMS and CUSD's LCAP in February 2025.
And does this have anything to do with the 4th and 5th
It is
grade
a
curriculum?
clear, yes, absolutely, because those years feed the years that we're talking about, and these
So we're
complaints are
speaking
coming from.
specifically for this
Again, I'm going to
curriculum.
demand now that the interruptions allow me to recalculate the time and have this time back.
Well, you're not speaking to this item, so I'd ask you to sit down,
Yeah, actually,
please.
I am. You're not allowing me to get there. You keep cutting me off with your impatience, but we're getting there, okay? We sure are. We're building a background for the statement, and yes, we are getting there, as always, as we always do, yes. Okay, so how much time do I have left, Ms. Thomas?
18 seconds.
18 seconds. Thanks for chopping the time down. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for obstructing my opportunity to comment. The district's responsibility to ensure students have equal access to content-focused textbook materials at school and at home, just as the Williams settlement requires, is your obligation. Teacher leaders and their elected representatives implored district administration to think of the efficacy and legality of the current approach where we remove personal computers from students and then fail to reinvest in the routine resources required for student learning.
Okay, again, I would remind speakers to speak on the item set forth on the agenda and not some personal beef with something else. So that this is a warning to you to keep it to the topic on the agenda. Let's see, so
Need to approve.
can I get a motion? Can I get a motion to approve the purchase of the McGraw-Hill Wonders curriculum for 4th and 5th grades?
I move to approve the purchase of McGraw-Hill Wonders Curriculum Pilot for 4th and 5th grades.
Can I get a second?
And I second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to item H, business operations and facilities. Can I get any public comment on item H?
All right, so tucked in this agenda item are two pretty meaty details associated with highly questionable governance and the misappropriation of funds. In the district's warrants, approximately $60,000 is being paid to the law offices of Andrea Marcus. Yet, when information requests were filed on this topic, the district made no mention of either the $60,000 invoice or the need and reason for the $60,000 invoice. Andrea Marcus is representing litigants associated with special education violations, while Superintendent Rigby has been the superintendent. Yet the district is paying Ms. Marcos' firm directly. The scenario begs the question, has CUSD lost yet another legal battle where it is expected to repay legal services provided to those filing against the district? Was the district's behavior once again so obviously unlawful that it once again is being required to pay the legal fees of those suing the district? The second detail, which falls under letter H, item 5, transfer of site sale proceeds in general fund and approval of resolution, is an even more obvious example of what happens when tax dollars collected in the name of educating Carpinteria's children are misappropriated. In December 2024, the district exercised the option to allow the Housing Authority to purchase the Baylord property. The transaction officially closed on January 6th, 2025, and the property sold for $4.2 million. At the time, the community was told the sale of the property was a shining example of good stewardship and that the money would be directed to future building and development needs across the district. In fact, that it was reserved for that. However, this evening, after many have forgotten how those monies were supposed to directly benefit students, the district seeks to transfer the proceeds of the sale, $4.2 million, into its general fund. These funds will be used for the one-time purpose to pay settlements arising from claims made against the district under AB 218. Now, certainly the district needs to pay for the liabilities it inherited many years ago when a similar culture of insular and often unqualified district leadership acted to protect one of their own, instead of holding a notorious administrator and criminal to account. But the transfer of the Baylord property proceeds was not a given. Had CUSD's officials not squandered $3.5 million on attempts to undermine the bargaining process, silence employee voices, and launch unlawful attacks on employee representatives, the district would have had $3.5 million, the mother lode of that $4.2 million, to dedicate towards the AB 218 lawsuits. But CUSD's officials did participate in those unlawful acts, and as a result, they must now transfer $4.2 million to fill the enormous void in the district's budget. So this evening, while Superintendent Rigby pursues a resolution to reallocate $4.2 million from the sale of the Baylord property, let us remember that this was unnecessary and that it will have a direct impact on what CUSD can deliver to students and families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident. Once again, on the warrants, we see legal fees. I have seen legal fees for many years, and I was there with you 4 years, and as a private citizen. What's going on? You don't understand that. You do not understand. There's a legal fee to Attorney Marcus, $60,000. 2 months ago, he settled one special education case. Nothing was informed about the amount of that settlement. A month before, on the coastal view, Attorney Marcus said that on top of that first case, that she had 3 more coming up. Are these $60,000 the total of all these special education cases? Are you going to apologize to special education families? Why not? Why not? You should. You are the board members. You are the superintendent, Diana. You're responsible. It's happened under your watch. Prove me wrong. Can't. You can't, because it happened under your watch. So, I don't know. Who knows what's next? What other lawsuits? Probably because of misusing public money? I don't know. But that could be coming up. It's up to the community, because you misused $3.5 million. Throw them away. Wasted them. Prove me wrong. You cannot prove me wrong, because you did. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to warrants. Board's being asked to approve the warrants for the period of 7/3 through August 7th, also July 3rd through August 7th, the amount of $2,004,645.90. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the warrants.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to item 2, repair and repainting of the tennis and pickleball courts by First Serve at the middle school. We had 2 bids, one at $47,201 and one at $12,000, and we selected the $12,000 bid from First Serve. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
All right. And are we sharing this with the city, or is this all on our dime?
No, according to the agreement, it is our responsibility to maintain and maintain and repaint the tennis courts.
Okay. Do we charge the city a fee like they charge us to use the pool?
No,
We don't.
no, that's not in the agreement.
Okay.
They have full use of the tennis courts
All right.
and
Oh,
pickleball courts.
And pickleball courts.
Yes.
All right. And this will be paid for out of the routine restricted maintenance funds.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Move on to item 3, the repainting of the special education room at Main School by Mesa Painting. We're being asked to approve this painting. District contacted 5 vendors, only 2 vendors responded with 2 proposals. Perfection Painting at $14,925 and Mesa Painting at $6,100. And we chose Mesa Painting. Can I get a motion to approve the contract with Mesa Painting?
I'll move to approve the contract with Mesa Painting.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The board's being asked to approve the purchase of a used van. The district has 5 operational vans, and a couple of these vans have exceeding mileage. And additionally, the district has two non-operational vans that have significant engine damage. So the vans are used often for sporting events and for special education students. And so we solicited 3 proposals. They range from $31,999 up all the way up to $44,000, and looks like we're choosing the $31,999 one. So can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the van purchase. I'll second.
Okay, this will also be paid for with transportation budget. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 5. Craig, did you want to say anything here?
Thank you. With your ratification in closed session tonight of the 3 settlements, you have succeeded in saving this district enormous additional sums of money for which you do not have the funds. And as a result of the impact of the settlements which you have been involved in and have succeeded in obtaining, countless millions of dollars have been avoided, meaning specifically that funds that you collect that are earmarked for your students and your staff will not be threatened in the way that we all know had been a dark cloud overhanging you for the last couple years. And for that, you are to be congratulated. So how did all this arrive? At the end of 2022, 4 separate lawsuits were filed in which the plaintiffs alleged that they suffered sexual abuse while they were students in Carpinteria at a time during the mid-1970s, 50 years ago. Normally, claims like that would have long ago expired by the running of the statute of limitations and by the failure to file claims that are required by the government code. However, as you know, in 2019, the legislature passed a law that allowed alleged victims of sexual abuse, no matter how long ago, to file their lawsuits as long as they did so by the end of 2022. 4 lawsuits were filed resulting from that. The district has been defending those lawsuits despite the fact that there is no evidence or corroboration of the claims that these individuals are making, except we know, of course, from the historical record that there was abuse that was going on that affected other students. Nevertheless, there's no corroboration of these claims. There are no witnesses, there are no staff members, nothing that would facilitate an effective defense of these claims. Worse, the insurance that the district had at the time, and you know you had insurance, we had insurance, but that insurance is no longer available, most likely because the company that was involved, United Pacific, long ago became insolvent, which meant that the district was left bare, having to bear the legal expenses, expert expenses, investigator expenses to defend these claims as best it could. On a statewide level, it's estimated that the total cost of hundreds of these lawsuits to K-12 districts will range between $2 and $3 billion. Most recent estimates are that individual settlements are averaging somewhere between $2 and $3 million. Many, many verdicts where abuse is known to have actually occurred exceed $10 million per claim, and some of them have gone all the way up to $135 million. Those risks were something that your board could not accept, and as a result of successfully negotiating these claims, a very large dark cloud has been lifted. The settlements that you ratified are, as you know, being funded as a result of the proceeds from the sale of the Baylord properties. Otherwise, the money simply would not have been available, and you would have been left with no choice but to go to trial and risk much, much more, something you could not afford to do. But instead, a means has been identified of funding the settlements, which no one is happy about, through the proceeds that were received from the Baylord sale, but which has avoided the otherwise huge impacts on your students and your staff. Now, the transfer of money into the general fund from real property sale proceeds is something that is permitted by state statute upon approval from the state. There are certain conditions that are imposed, certain requirements, including an adoption by you of a plan for how the money is going to be spent and making certain representations. That plan has been drafted in the form of a resolution which is before you for approval. The draft resolution contains the elements that are required by the state statute for approval by the State Allocation Board and the Office of Public School Construction. And so you have it in mind from your agenda that upon your approval of the resolution, a formal letter, which is also in the agenda, will be submitted to the state requesting that they authorize the transfer of these funds of yours from one account into the general fund account. That's my summary of where we are and what it is that is before you for approval. Are there any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. I will read the resolution though as part of this item.
Excellent. And should you have any questions?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay. So I will read the resolution, then we can vote on approving it. Resolution number 25938, the resolution of the Board of Education of the Carpenter Unified School District, County of Santa Barbara, State of California, authorizing the utilization of Education Code 17463.7. Whereas on January 6, 2025, the Carpenter Unified School District finalized the sale agreement of surplus property purchased 25 years earlier, located at 1101 and 1103 Baylord Avenue in Carpinteria, to the Housing Authority of Santa Barbara for $4.2 million. Whereas the district initiated the sale of the property through the execution of an option to purchase and sale agreement on January 1st, 2020, and did not close until January 6, 2025. Whereas pursuant to the California Education Code 17463.7, school districts were authorized to deposit the proceeds from the sale or lease of surplus real property into the general fund of the school district for any one-time general fund purpose, subject to satisfying certain conditions required by the State Allocation Board and the Office of Public School Construction. Whereas although most of Ed Code 17463.7's provisions become inoperable after June 2024, pursuant to 17463.7G, the proceeds from the sale of any surplus property initiated prior to June 2024, which did not close until after June 2024, are still permitted to be placed in the district's general fund. Whereas CUSD has been defending 4 AB 218 lawsuits for alleged sexual abuse based upon events in the 1970s and has reached settlements in 3 of those cases, totaling $4 million, conditioned upon being permitted to transfer the proceeds from the sale of the property into the general fund. Whereas the district's insurance that was in place during the applicable time periods is unavailable and the district has no alternative means of paying the settlements. Whereas the payments of the settlement is crucial to the district's fiscal solvency, will avoid the risk of larger verdicts at trials and avoid the possible state takeover. Whereas CUSD seeks to utilize the provisions of Education Code 17463.7 in order to transfer all the $4,200,000 proceeds from the sale of the property to the district's general fund for purposes of paying the settlement amounts due to the plaintiffs, as well as for purposes of supporting a potential forced settlement of the remaining lawsuit. Whereas the district presented a plan to the governing board of the Carpenter Unified School District at a regular meeting on August 12, 2025, which detailed the source and intended use of proceeds from the sale of the property. Whereas the plan specifies that the expenditure of the sale proceeds from the general fund will not result on ongoing fiscal obligations for the district, as the payment of settlement amounts will be one-time in nature to each plaintiff. Whereas Education Code 17463.7 requires the district to certify to the State Allocation Board that the sale of the property does not violate the provisions of any local bond act, and the property is not suitable to meet projected school construction needs for the next 10 years. It hereby is resolved that the Board of Education does hereby resolve and determine as follows. 1, authorization. The board hereby authorizes the district to utilize the provisions of Education Code 17463.7 by submitting the required materials to the State Allocation Board and Office of Public School Construction. 2, certification. CUSD certifies to the State Allocation Board that the sale of the property did not violate any local bond act. Additionally, the CUSD certifies to the State Allocation Board that the property is not suitable to meet projected school construction needs for the next 10 years. 3, non-state funds. The board acknowledges that the property was purchased entirely with non-state funds. 4, one-time general fund purpose. Board certifies that upon approval from the State Allocation Board and the releasing $4.2 million to the general district's general fund will be used to pay 3 settlements totaling $4 million, and the balance of $200,000 will be directed at resolving the remaining lawsuit. These will be one-time payments and thus will not result in any ongoing expenditures for the district. 5, state financial hardship funding. The board acknowledges that utilizing the provisions of Education Code 17463.7 will reduce any possible state financial hardship funding. 6, effective date. The resolution shall take effective upon adoption. All right. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
I move to approve the resolution.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I'm while not happy that we are, we've been burdened with these issues, I feel that this is going a long way to resolving them, and like Craig said, lifting the dark cloud that has been hanging over our district, and has caused a lot of angst, a lot of worry, not only from the board here, but by students in the district, parents in the district, families, educators, staff. I feel it's, it's a very difficult position to be in. And I know we haven't spoken much on it here at the board because we could, up here on the dais, because we have been negotiating. I think most people read about only became aware when the articles were written in the Chronicle, and I think again in the Bloomberg, and then in the Independent. But I would still encourage those listening to contact our legislators, in particular our State Senator Monique Limon, and encourage her to adopt some sort of state. There's a number of proposals that have been put forward to the Senate, State Senate, and to the legislature to help alleviate the burdens to districts like ours, because we're not the only district in this situation. There's plenty, and like Craig said, there's a $2 to $3 billion impact to districts, because this is coming out of districts, and a lot of that'll be at everyone thinks it's insurance money, but we're facing higher insurance premiums as a result of these settlements across the state, because these joint powers authorities, or joint powers, that what they're called? Joint power authorities, insurance groups are not endless piggy banks. They have to be solvent, and so they're going to increase premiums to every district in the state that are members, which is again more expense that takes away money from our ability to spend it on salary increases, on program improvements. So I would really encourage anybody listening, anybody that watches this later, to contact our legislatures and try to encourage them to develop a relief plan so that the burden is not on these districts for things that are so far out of our realm of responsibility that occurred, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. But I want to thank Craig and all your whole team for helping put this together. And hopefully we can get as much of this behind us as it's possible. So this is a roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Sally?
Aye.
And I am aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to item U. Do I have any public comment on item U, Measure U? In particular, the approval of a fence factory contract.
So the agenda item regards monies used to fund the development of a fence at Catalino. Just moments ago, it was announced that $4.2 million previously dedicated to infrastructure building and development projects like this fence contract will be redirected to pay the district's extraordinary fees, legal fees. Under this Measure U agenda item, we see the kind of building and development project that could have been either funded by the proceeds of the Baylord sale, or at the very least, development costs that could have been displaced by the $4.2 million influx of monies associated with the sale of the Baylord property. As we examine this specific Measure U expenditure, the building of a $20,000 plus fence at Catalino, CUSD's officials, employees, and the community should consider how the transfer of proceeds from the sale of the Baylord property will impact this and future projects like this one, be it the building of a $20,000 plus fence or the resolution of plumbing issues at Catalino or efforts to eradicate the far too long standing rat infestation at CMS or other projects related to the general maintenance and upkeep of the district. This fence contract serves as a bellwether of the kinds of expenditures to come and the kind of expenditures that will be impacted by the transfer of these $4.2 million. Now the $4.2 million must be transferred to cover legal expenditures and are no longer available to fund or displace costs like the building of this fence,
Thank you,
this type
Mr.
of item.
Koshner.
How will the
I
variety
understand
of
what you're
other
doing.
building projects needed across the district be impacted? What other sacrifices will students and employees and their families have to make to cover the cost of the district's mismanagement? Is this the last fence that will be built for quite some time? With the reduction of development monies, will it affect teaching and learning? Will they affect student and employee safety? As you consider approval of the Measure U expenditures before you, has the board even considered how this project could have been jeopardized had it been placed on the agenda just a week or two after the $4.2 million transfer? Or will you just keep on keeping on the same arbitrary, unilateral, and at times unlawful approach to oversight of the district? The community deserves a response, and as you know, you are entitled to provide one at this time, so please go ahead and speak, Mr. Schaefer. Thank you.
Well, thank you for not addressing the item set forth. So can I get a motion to approve the approval of the fence factory contract at Catalino?
I move to approve. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to item J, personnel. Any public comment on J, personnel?
Okay, so this evening we see in the report the hiring of 3 teachers, and we see 4 special education instructional assistants resign. Of the instructional assistants resigning, each has survived the baptism of fire that is associated with the district's SPED program, and they leave with skills and experiences that are desperately needed at this time. Not accounted for on this personnel report is the resignation of another talented SPED teacher who notified CUSD of the resignation last week. And we hope district officials will make every effort to accurately understand the reasons we continue to lose talent like the people in this report from the district. We've been advised the timing of these late registration notices may be associated with a significant change in how CUSD honors its healthcare commitment to employees. This is a stellar example of what would easily be called another self-inflicted administrative wound. Exacerbating the district's inability to both hire and maintain the highly qualified workforce we need, exemplified in tonight's report, the district has begun canceling the healthcare policies of resigning employees several months before required and several months before the annual premium cycle is set to terminate at the end of September 2022. Did you know that? CUSD is doing this even after several of these employees have already earned the full value of their healthcare policies. Employees on this report when they completed their annual 24-25 instructional contract. While the district's change in practice strips healthcare access from those who already earned the full value of their plans, they did not provide prior notice. Those who resigned at the outset of the summer who had earned and were eligible to receive health care through 2025, through September 2025, learned of this policy shift when they received bills from their medical providers, bills that were not covered by their insurance packages. In summary, employees who shared the decision to resign before they were required in an attempt to give the district time to prepare for the impact of their resignations were then scorched by the district. So it should be no surprise that those considering resignation may be more carefully considering the timing of their resignation notifications going forward, even if that means resigning at the last possible second, like some of the ones we're seeing tonight on the report. Meanwhile, this late in the summer, as employees continue to resign just before the school year begins, and while CUSD abruptly terminates healthcare access for those who had already earned the full value of their package, the district did not fail to provide the administrators the third salary increase in 26 months. These 3 administrative salary increases totaled more than double the value of the single salary increase received by teachers and support staff during the same period. Those same administrators also received the district's fully funded healthcare package, while the district struggles to recruit and maintain consistent coverage in CUSD classrooms. And go figure, the challenges we're having demonstrated in the personnel report. Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the personnel report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to K, future agenda items. Any public comment on future agenda items?
Rogelio, Carpinteria resident. At first I thought that this would be a challenge for you to include this on a future, as a future agenda item, but I just thought it shouldn't be a challenge. It would be informational for students and the community, regardless of political affiliation. Project 2025. We all have heard that. I have heard it, but I haven't read it.
No idea what he's talking about.
President Trump says that he hadn't read it. Project 2025. I know that it includes medical cuts, educational cuts. That should be bad. Here, there's 5 of you representing education, representing students, the most vulnerable students. We, as a community, should be listening to you, what you have to say about Project 2025. It's been all over since the last year, and it's going to be mentioned again for 3 more years. Project 2025. It doesn't hurt to include it as a future agenda item for informational purposes. I would be interested in listening to you. Thank you.
Okay, so future agenda items. We again asked the board to include a full examination of the irregularities associated with Mr. Schaefer's healthcare usage, which can be characterized by the district's decision to loan Mr. Schaefer the first 11 months of the 23-24 healthcare package and the first 6 months of the 24-25 healthcare package before asking him to contribute any money. This is clearly an Ed Code violation, but like the board did in the 70s, it is once again, it appears, circling its wagons to shield one of its own from accountability. At the June 10th board meeting, elected employee leadership inquired upon these irregularities associated with Mr. Schaefer's usage of the district-funded healthcare plan. Elected employee leadership was interested in better understanding why Mr. Schaefer had received a fully funded $27,618 family health care plan for approximately 11 months at no cost before being charged for the plan just before the plan cycle was fully complete. We were met with silence. Union leadership confirmed the details of this unique arrangement only after filing successive California public records requests. Union leadership privately and then publicly requested an explanation from either Board Member Schaefer or any agent of the district, but instead of providing an explanation, Mr. Schaefer chose to accuse us of lying and an angry and inaccurate response that provided no further explanation either. Based on Mr. Schaefer's inaccurate public statements, we were then compelled to share the public documents that raised concern, documents that would lead any reasonable community member, let alone district officials, to ask what exactly is going on here. Union leadership has since shared several exhibits confirming the concerns we've cited. What exactly is going on here is a pretty fair question to ask any public official who is not only obligated to enforce an ethical code of conduct, but is also obligated to adhere to the same ethical code of conduct. Mr. Schaefer, district board members, and senior CUSD administrators, the facts before you demand an explanation. That you consider Mr. Schaefer your friend does not absolve you of your oversight responsibilities. Of course, Mr. Schaefer knew that he was receiving the fully funded health care plan at no cost for up to 11 months. But who else did? Did you know, Ms. Rigby? Did any of the other board members know about this? We demand honest and transparent answers to the concerns we've shared. We're not going away. This issue isn't going away. It's only going to get worse, Mr. Schaefer, so you should try to get in front of it by providing an honest explanation. These are concerns that directly impact the availability of public monies reserved for the education and care of district students and families, not for your own personal self-aggrandizement. Thank you.
You guys have anything for future agenda items? Nope. Anything for the board calendar, Monica? Board announcements? Anything big?
We have this Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Cart Pool is our water polo alumni game.
You playing?
No, but come out and support the
He's
team
coaching.
for this year.
Which team?
I'll go with the alumni.
Yeah. All right. I don't have anything to add. I hope Jamie gets better. I do actually. The fair, the FFA kids, took their animals to the fair this last week and did very well in showmanship. The market class had mixed results, but it was just great to see the culmination of that, that process, the raising the animal. I mean, the steer kids have those animals for 10 months, 11 months, and they're just all so excited about it. It's such the environment down there is just great, and then Miss Garcia is just really doing a great job. We ran into Mr. Lopez, who's doing great at Fillmore, and he's happy to be close to home and in the school he grew up in. But it was really good to go down to the auction and see everybody. But other than that, I think we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.